So next, Paula Comes. She's a director of strategy at HP, and she's going to give us a very disruptive keynote on hacking corporate innovation. Let's see what this is all about. Please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope you're not too tired. So hopefully the next 30 minutes will be interesting for you, and you will get something out of it. What we are going to do is to share some of the learnings that we got along the last few years on how to transform the innovation model that we have in a corporate environment. Okay? For the sake of the discussion, I will take one of our recent launches in the market, and along the journey of what happened with that product, I will give you a few hints of the different transformations that we've been putting into the market. Okay? Before starting, I will briefly introduce myself. And in this presentation, I'm going to give you already 3 spoilers. Okay? The first one, I work in HP. I work for large format printing. Large format printing is about printers that go into graphic arts industry and that go for architects, engineers, and constructors. Today, we'll talk about architects, engineers, and constructors. And I promise you, this is the first spoiler, we are not going to see any printer. Second spoiler. My job title is Director of Strategy, Customer Experience, and Program Management Office. I'm sure you don't understand anything. So hopefully, after 30 minutes, you will get to understand what my job is about. The third spoiler is that I'm a Viking. I don't look like. But what does it mean to be a Viking in a corporate environment? So basically, that means that you are somehow crazy, and that when you get a challenge on something that you can dive into and that you can just get in there, you are being pulled into that. Okay, so a few months back, I was told that I was a Viking, and I thought it was a quite good description of myself. This is the belief of my company. I truly like it, okay? It's one thoughtful idea has the power to change the world. I embrace it. I truly believe it connects very well with what we do. It's a company that has over 80 years. If you want to stay relevant for over 80 years, no way you can do it if you don't innovate. But what's the challenge in innovation in a company like ours? Complexity. We were born from the hardware business. We have over 55,000 employees. We have an enormous network of partners that operate all over the world. We have a wide portfolio with many legacy products, both for hardware and for software. We have many IT systems. And I could continue over and over giving you an endless list of things that make our lives complex. Complexity is also for good, because that secures our customer integrity, that secures our brand reputation, that secures the quality of our products and solutions. So in a way, there's not a perfect recipe. You understand what I mean? I cannot avoid complexity. I need to live in complexity and to find out routes to kind of escape. And actually, it's not an option, neither for us in HP, in large format business, not for anyone. Because today, in a world where disruption can come from everywhere, and here you are being exposed to many startups that you can witness that exposure can really come from anywhere, we need to be able to react. We need to be able to learn how to bring value into the market in a fast value delivery mode. And this is actually what we've been trying to do over the last few years. Let me give you a few examples of how are we trying to do it and how are we trying to make it happen. First, we created a team. And I was assigned to that team. That's why I have such a difficult name. The very first time I met someone that I was explaining about my team and who was in my team and everything, they were like, oh, your team looks like the canteen of the Star Wars. And I realized, you're right, actually. I have many different monsters. But that's for the good. Why is that for the good? Because if you really want to change something, you need to kind of have a a transversal capacity. You need to be able to make interventions along the whole innovation value chain. You cannot just make it in one piece. And you need to make sure that you have a diverse team, because innovation can only come from diversity. So today in my organization, I have business strategy, I have innovation, I have experience design, and I have the value stream office, which I will tell you a bit more on what this is about later on in the presentation. But again, it's super important that we try to have transversal organizations in the corporate world, because it's the only way to be able to act in all the parts that innovation is required. And how we try to make that. And the only way I managed to look for a meaningful metaphor was the Darwinism. Darwinism, what does is essentially they create mutations. Okay, we can create mutations in different animals, in different series. Sorry, I don't get it in English. And some of those mutations work, some others doesn't. And this is what we do in a daily basis. We do experiments. We try to integrate mutations in the system, in the different parts of the innovation model. And many of them work out, but there are many that doesn't. Another day, if you're interested, I can come and give you a pitch about all the failures we got along the last 3 years and everything that didn't work in a corporate environment, which, of course, will be less useful, but also interesting, okay? But what we do is we introduce mutations, and we try them to work out. So, as said, I can come another day and talk about the many failures that we have in my organization and my business. I will be very happy to do so. But I don't do it alone. I am surrounded of a team of what I call corporate Vikings. So I try to look for people that are as crazy as I am, to try to think differently, and to try to influence how we do things in the corporate world in a different manner. Okay, so at the end of the day, I always say to my team, I don't do anything, okay, so that you are working. I mean, I'm just here trying to support you, trying to remove roadblocks, and trying to come up with crazy ideas. So thank you, everyone that is helping here. And when I talk about the different mutations, when I talk about the different interventions that we do in the innovation model, I talk about different things that we do in the 4Ds of the model. Okay, we try to talk about innovation in this 4D model, okay, that I assume that many of you are familiar about. But basically, we talk about discovery, definition, development, and delivery. This is an iterative process that always has the customer in the center. So when we think on an intervention that we want to do, when we think on any experiment that we want to do, we actually think always in these 4Ds. Let me present you the first mutation that we did a few years back, actually a couple of years back. Discovery. As said, I'm not going to talk about any printer, but I want to tell you what happened to us a few years back. I'm not discovering anything if I tell you that people in the office are printing less and less. You all can imagine, right? But we want to stay relevant. And people are doing things with the paper that they print. So we started to think more and more that we had to think about the job to be done and less about the printing itself. So that triggered a whole conversation around, let's understand the end-to-end journey of our customers. Let's identify the areas where we see problems to be solved. That's a journey that we started a few years back. We were doing quite good progress, but we understood that there was a hole in that whole understanding, which was the construction phase. At the end of a project, you need to build the building, okay? And architects go into the construction phase. But by nature, this is a phase that we were not knowing so well. Why? Because there are less printers in the construction phase. In the actual building, there are not many printers when they are creating that. So we thought that we require a discovery on the construction phase. What could have happened in a traditional corporate world? Any idea? Vale. So what usually would have happened is I call to an insights department. Someone from that insights department comes to meet with me. I tell them that I want to do a discovery for the construction phase for architects. They talk with few agencies. They do a request for quotation. They come back to me with the different proposals. I tell them what do I like the most. They go and they start working. The guys that are doing the work may not know the customer. After 6 months, I get a report back with few insights that it's very hard for me to activate. This kind of working model actually is good in some occasions. When you need foundational quantitative research, works very well and gives you lots of meat that you can leverage, and then you can dig into that and you can do a better discovery. But in that case, we want to do something different. We believe that we require high quality, qualitative insights from our customers to really understand what are the problems that they have, and to really have an insight that is actionable, and that we can create a product out of that. So how we do that? What's our model? What's our recipe? So first of all, we do it in-house. Okay, so we have a team devoted to that, a small team. They are subject matter experts. They know very well our customers. So for them, it's very natural to talk to them. It's very natural to talk to an architect and to ask them about their day-to-day, because they know well their daily life. Second, they are hands-on. Okay, so they can do many different activities in the research phase. They are interactive, they are agile. They are very much into experimentation, so we try to do crazy stuff, again here. And then we also are able to build sacrificial concepts. So we are even able to conceptualize something that we show to customers, and the intent is not to create that product, it's just to gather feedback, to understand the insight in depth. So what we did in this occasion? So we started all this work about doing this research hands-on next to the customers. We were doing shadowings, we were doing co-creations, we were doing in-depth interviews, and we were doing global shadowing. And all that in-house, with a small team and with the mindset of running as much experiments as needed. This is a very short clip that is just trying to showcase you the level of hands-on and proximity that we have to our customers. Those are people that are sitting next to them for a few weeks, walking with them along the construction site, just to understand what are the pains that they have. I don't know if you know it or not, but it's not usual in a corporate world that you manage to have this kind of discovery. And after a few months, not many, just a couple, but after a few months, we got to understand that we had a clear problem to be solved. We were understanding that during the construction site visit, there was a problem. That was the site visit report. And what was the problem with the site visit report process? Those basically, it's a process that is extremely fragmented. And it's fragmented because of three things. It's fragmented because of the amount of tools that our customers are using. It's fragmented from the amount of touch points, so they can bring a mobile, they bring a tablet, they bring a PC, they bring whatever. And it's also fragmented because of the spaces, because it's not only happening in the construction site, it also happens in the office and back into construction site, and so on and so on. So we were seeing that there was a problem that was relevant, okay, and that was frequent. You can see that a customer might have up to 190 visits to the construction site per year. And you will see that they can waste up to 20% of the weekly working time doing those reports. So we thought, maybe there's something here that we can do. Here you have few insights that customers were sharing with us. I take more than 100 photos in a site visit. I try to bring two phones, work and personal. One takes notes and the other one is for the pictures. Yesterday we spent a lot of time standing at the specific point, staring at our phones, trying to find a submittal. That's not fun. It's a very repetitive task. I dream about a future where I can leave the site and reports are almost done while I commute. So that was very obvious for us that there was something to be resolved here. What we do? We did the first sacrificial concept. We didn't wait We just created something. Of course, there was no coding here, there was nothing, and we tried to expose in a very early stages to our customers to that proposal, just to understand if the problem was real, just to understand if there was something that we could trigger from there. And with that, I finished the mutation one, the discovery. So we ended up having a problem. We could have done the next stage, the definition, in a more conventional way. For those that might not be in the corporate world, companies like ours that are born from the hardware, we tend to do software applying the very same principles that we have in hardware. So if I stay to that paradigm, I give it to a team, and they will give me a plan, probably for 2 years down the road, to have a product on the streets, where they will give me an MVP in 6 months down the road, and I will be able to test it 9 months down the road. And actually, that was not the route we wanted to take. We wanted to do it differently. So what we did, we experimented. We took a developer that did a very, 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 very small MVP of what could eventually be this product. And we started to run an experiment. First of all, a qualitative experiment, where we were proposing customers to onboard into a portal. By the way, here, nothing had yet the branding of HP. Okay, so we showcased a portal. They could onboard the portal. They could download the app. We were given clear instructions on how to download the app, to put the desktop application, and how to perform the main task that they had to do. We started also with field shadowing and on-site interviews. So having that close contact with the customer, understanding how are they using the app, trying to figure out what are the challenges that they have with the app. And we also tried to do the same with remote customers. We created a WhatsApp group, and we started to ask them stuff. And we also had few calls remotely with customers that were not sitting in Barcelona. So that was a very easy and fast manner to start gathering feedbacks from customers. And that was helping us radically to understand if we were having a good MVP or not. But that was not enough. We were thinking we need to have data. It doesn't need to be only qualitative. So we started to create dashboards to understand where customers were getting stuck within the tool. What could we do to improve the different workflows? What could we do to ease the experience in that tool? And what was the outcome of the experiment? So we understood that we had a good MVP, that we had something that would work out. 75% of our customers were telling us, I would like to adopt this tool. There were few things to improve, okay? It was clear that we had to add a few things here. I'm not getting into the detail because I don't think it's the aim of the presentation, but we required to do a few tweaks. And we were even getting some hints on what were the key delighters that could enable us to charge money in the future for that application. And we could take it into account from very early stages in the definition process. Here you have a few quotes from customers that were telling us that they were enjoying the tool and that they were willing to adopt it. Beyond that, I think there's something very, for me, it was lovely. We were creating somehow a community with customers. So customers get engaged and they tell you more about the tool and they give you ideas, and that's something also that we should all aim for that. Having this community with customers and having them involved in your tool is very powerful. Till here, the story was lovely. We had understood which was the MVP, and we got to the point that we wanted to release something into the market. What we believe that we did at that point? We gave it back to the typical process. Of course not. At the middle of the story, I cannot change in such a way. So actually, we wanted to test a new development model for digital solutions within our company. The aim that we were having was to win both efficiency and effectiveness. So making sure that we were able to deliver fast value into the market in an iterative way, being able to incorporate in our development those learnings that we get from customers in very early stages of development. But we wanted also to make sure that it was effective. So we wanted to make it fast, and we wanted to make it relevant. And in order to do that, what we decided is that we were running yet another experiment. And that was called the cell experiment. Actually, this cell is getting bigger and bigger. Now you see where we started, but now it's getting implemented in different software solutions that we have in our organization. What's the cell experiment? So the cell experiment is basically creating a team, a multidisciplinary team. Actually, if any of you works in a startup, what we were trying to create is a startup, okay? But you cannot just create a startup in a corporate world. You need to implement certain APIs, certain rules with which this startup connects with the rest of the corporation. So we were trying to create that cell. And that cell, the idea was that was having its own guiding principles, its own rules. That doesn't need to be the ones that the rest of the ecosystem has. What's needed to make such a change? To make sure that it's successful within the organization. And today I thought I was missing something above all these things that I'm telling you and that I'm going to explain now. What was needed was generosity. You all need to be generous to make these things work, because you are changing the way many people operate in the system in many ways. So if we are all not generous, this is not going to work, because that means that you leave someone space to behave differently. So above all these things, I would say that the greatest success factor was generosity from many functions and from many different teams. So for sure, in my organization, we have sweat, blood, and tears to make it work. But if the rest of the organization is not generous, this is not working. So first thing that we needed to happen, we needed top-down commitment. That's the why. That's that the general manager, the CEO, tells that this is important, and that we, as an organization, want to make sure that we deliver digital experiences in a different way to our customers. If you don't have that, don't start. But if you have the commitment, you can try it. Second, it was very important that we were aligning on the what we wanted to achieve. In the corporate world, actually what happens with all this complexity, with all the layers of people, is that you get to have many people that work for a process and doesn't have clear on their mind which is the what. So making sure that you get to everyone to understand the what is fundamental. And then third, we were working on the implementation of different artifacts. This is the how. This is the different behaviors that you are trying to fine-tune within the organization to make sure that you get the desired outcome. Let's talk briefly about outcome alignment, which is a topic that I love very much. The frame that we use, but there might be many, okay? So don't feel obliged to go for that, but there might be many. We like the frame of Teresa Torres, that she's explaining it very well in Continuous Discovery Habits. And actually, it's the opportunity trees. This is very nice because it's visual, helps everyone to be on the same page. I see one of my team members that is himself here. Hola, Jose. And what helps is that everyone puts everyone on the same page. And it's a map that is showing the different problems that you could be trying to solve, okay? But also, it's very explicit on the problems that you are not resolving now and that you are putting them on the parking lot. It's as important to decide the problem that you want to tackle now as the problem that you don't want to tackle. So for us, making sure that you get alignment across the different functions on this is fundamental. Now let's switch gears into the artifacts. Okay, what are the things that we change on the behavior and the day-to-day of all these people? There are 5 things that we were trying to do. First, organizational. Okay, we try to reduce the cognitive load. As said, There are many layers of complexity, many processes, many policies, many whatever. So it's important that we reduce as much as possible the cognitive load to make sure that people is focused. And here we did the cell experiment. This is something that was very clear, but we were also putting lots of focus on team topologies, making sure that we were identifying who we need in that organization to make it work. Second, it's about skills. And here I want to be very specific. It's on the job capacitation. It's not a certification. And this is very relevant, because when people learn when they are doing the job, they internalize what they learn and they make it better. Because that comes from their inner self, okay? If you want to certify everyone on Agile, whatever, 80 of the people won't hear the course, they won't apply immediately. I mean, for us, it was very, very, very important that we were doing that on the job. Then, on the practices. Here, it was important that we were operating in 2 levels, okay? So that the planning practices that we have and that the collaboration practices that we have were changing. So that we have a planning methodology, a planning synchronization that was agile, that was flexible, that was not a plan that in 3 months you will have this, in 4, in 5, in 6, in 7, because I can tell you, roadmaps never happen, okay? It will simply not happen. So it was important that it was flexible and capable of incorporating feedback. Also, we needed to change the dynamics among the team so that we had better alignment among them on the requirements that had to happen, that they were all working together on making sure that we had reduced user stories, et cetera, So making sure that they, as a team, work together on those things. We had to talk about tools as well. And here I'm not getting into any detail of any tool, okay? I can talk about Jira or Confluence or whatever, but here, for me, the fundamental thing is take whichever tool you want. But there is one tool for the entire team. You don't have a tool for the developers, and one tool for the designers, and one tool for the product managers. You have just one tool that is common for the entire team and that is aligning their work with what we want to achieve, with what we show in the tree. And last but not least, the technology. And here I connect it again to the generosity on having the right partnerships within the house and having the right people that want to change the way they do things for all of us to succeed. Again, you need to have Vikings, not only in your team, but a bit all over. So when you do all that, you start to see magic. What kind of magic? So here you can see how we were reducing the cycle time in the delivery of our value. We were starting to gather feedback very early stages in the development. But not only that, we were starting to see that people were very happy. They were happier working in this model. Because, first of all, because that gives you purpose. If you have purpose, you are happier at work. So it's a vicious circle in the good sense, okay? So if you give them empowerment, if they are autonomous, if they know what they are doing, and you give them the right tools, they are happier. But also, you get the magic on the feedback from customers. Okay, so we started to monitor, to put data. For those that you are in a startup, it sounds very, very, very obvious, but I can tell you it's not obvious in a corporate to start having information from customers about your products early in the process. The video no se oye. I can tell you, well, I'm super happy with the tool. I promise you I will buy. It's exceptional. I was dreaming for that. And básicamente es esto, ¿vale? For this one, can we have the audio? Bueno, I keep talking, and probably in a few seconds we'll have the audio. The outcome of the whole thing was Logbook. ¿Vale? Logbook was an app for mobile and for desktop that was enabling, and that is enabling architects to streamline the way they create site visit reports. And hopefully now the video works.
Are your site observations disorganized and hard to find? Is creating and sharing reports taking too much of your time? Introducing HP Build Workspace app. Capture a photo during your site visit and start adding information to it. Start by drawing on it to highlight the issue, and then add your observations on a note. add the location by pinning the photo on the plan. That easy. Add a tag to classify the observation and classify it by its status. Find saved observations in the project gallery and filter and retrieve all the added information. With this app, you can create reports of your site visits in seconds. Select the observations you want to share, and with just one click, generate a PDF report, ready to share on WhatsApp, email, or any channel. Once back at the office, access this information from the HP Build Workspace website. Get everyone on the same page with HP Build Workspace.
But this, and now I'm stopping the project, okay, was not happening in isolation. We have a track of work that is trying to see how can we bring value within the construction arena, okay? So that's built in the scope of something bigger, and just for you to have the full context.
Architecture. For over 30 years, HP DesignJet has been the go-to printer for architects and construction professionals to create, collaborate, and build with paper. In 2023, we transformed the industry with the launch of SitePrint, our innovative robotic layout technology that delivered a huge leap from analog to digital. Now in 2024, we're taking the next step forward with the introduction of HP Build Workspace, our new mobile cloud collaboration platform. Now architects, contractors, and their clients will experience digital collaboration that simplifies complexity and automates previously manual processes. And now, customers can intuitively create and organize site observations, automate field reports, provide real-time feedback, and soon perform AI vectorization of technical designs. HP Build Workspace adds to a legacy of technological innovation only HP has and will deliver to this industry. This is the future of digital architecture and construction. This is the future of work.
So just to conclude, a couple of remarks. First, if you have any friend that is an architect and is working in construction, I encourage you all to download HP Build, okay, and provide us feedback for sure. And last but not least, I just want to finish with the 3 things I learned along the journey. First, you need to focus on your weekly action, but only evaluate progress with some perspective, with some time, okay? Otherwise, it's like a mountain. It's so big that you don't see progress, okay? So focus, siempre lo digo mal, on the weekly action that you are taking. You have here a picture actually of a bullet journal. I'm very, very much obsessed about having a bullet journal and focusing on what do I do this week. Otherwise, you get crazy. Second, you need to fit yourself with external perspective. I've been 13 years in HP. And I can tell you that if I was not bringing people from the outside, it was impossible for me to figure out how could we work differently and how we could do things differently. So bring coaches, bring new employees coming from abroad, fit yourself with external network. And last but not least, I said, I do nothing. So just try to bring talent and focus on talent and rethink about the talent and think if today you need something different from yesterday. So with that said, thank you all. I'm Paula. If anyone wants to contact, here you have my details. Merci.